All right, zone 3. Let's talk about middle school age. Anybody from that age want to throw out a dilemma? What's going on when kids are roughly, let's say, in grades 5 through 8 that make fathering tough?
Friends. Having a lot of friends, and who's your friend?
Mm-hmm. The pivot begins where you are no longer their prime source of information, and your approval is not always coveted first. We all need each other's approval. Grades 5 through 8 is when kids start caring more what their friends think of them than what you think of them. Their friends begin to help them establish their moral universe, what is right and wrong, what is good and bad, what's appropriate clothes and what's inappropriate clothes, what types of behaviors are okay and what are not. How do you start coping? It's at that age that the genders start to heat up and people start to notice each other and start feeling the first stirrings of sexual desire. And what do you do with that? It's really tough. The middle school time is when the kids start their pivot away and where parenting starts to get hard. It's always been hard physically. Now it gets harder emotionally, and the problems start to get bigger. I remember very intensely just seeing my children start to pivot away from me, and what a sense of loss I felt that they weren't interested in me anymore. I could see it happening already about 6th or 7th grade. And they just were not along for the ride anymore. They started to push back when we'd be on family vacations when they were, let's say, our 7th or 8th grade. They didn't want to be seen with us anymore, and like the family would be walking, they'd hang back like, I'm not them. I'm not those old losers. And they're beginning their distancing. That's really hard. That was emotionally very, very hard for me. And I imagine it was even harder on my wife because she's so tender. Dr. Mary Hines gave me an insight once I'd like to give to you for free. You can steal this, John, by the way. Nobody in Florida has heard this, so here's fresh material for you. She said, Mark, you got to understand we women have no walls around our heart. We're defenseless. We're wide open. When my kids are doing well at something, my wife is like soaring above the clouds. When they struggle, she's crawling through the slush in a ditch. She can't help it. She can't not emotionally identify with what's going on with our kids. And so when they struggle, when they're starting to get moody, when they're starting to have some social problems, when they're going through that self-doubt, every kid in middle school has to now process, who am I? Children younger than that aren't that reflective. You start wondering, who am I? And that can be very hard because they go through now, they're beginning the experimentation, and they're putting on different masks. And they're practicing with different roles. They're putting on different costumes and trying them out. So I'd say when that even greater defiance begins, when they get to be middle school age, just take a deep breath. First of all, you were no prize when you were that age. You maybe have buffed a little shine on your childhood, but you were a jerk too when you were 12, and smart mouth when you were 13. And just take a deep breath and realize they're practicing. They don't know how to be an adult yet, and they're starting to imitate a few things they've seen. But that doesn't mean that's what they're going to be like, or that they really mean it. Just relax, deep breaths, and ride with it. A big thing in middle school is you will need to be laying down rules. Bedtime rules, homework rules, where you go, when you must be back, the kind of stuff that you do. And one of the things I've seen in weak and dysfunctional parents is they say everything 4 or 5 times. They are altering the consequences constantly. Everything's always being adjusted. And then everything gets renegotiated when the kid pushes back. Be careful of your threats and punishments, especially at middle school age, because your word has to be gold. Your word must be gold. When you say to your 13-year-old daughter, you can go over and play over at your friend's house, but I want you back here home at 7 p.m. You can eat there, but you better be here. You better be back home at 7. There's no negotiating that. That is the law of the Medes and the Persians. And say it one time. If you have to say it many times or there's doubt or anything, then they know that it's negotiable and they can come back at 8 and say, well, but you said But you kind of said like, whenever, Dad. And no. Say it one time. Second, so be really careful of your rules. Be really careful of what you promise. Deliver on everything you promise. If you say, let's do this, I got some chores for you, but then we're going to the movies. Dang it, take them to the movies. Don't stall that off. Promises are lazy parents' currency that they can spend without costing them anything. And kids remember. And if they begin to get cynical that you are not going to deliver on what you promise, their desire to be cooperative will diminish. If you make a threat and you state a consequence, you better follow through, especially at this age. You mean business. And the kid has to maybe not like it, but my old man is going to be furious if I do this, and so I better get back. Because they have figured out that they cannot manipulate you, bully you, lie, throw a temper fit, or they are not going to be able to push back on your walls. And here's the deal. Your kids respect strength. They don't be weak so that they'll love you. Be strong, and they will love you.